When you're setting up any type of project management system, there's 5 criteria that we want to see. I'm going to talk about each one briefly here, and then we'll go into more depth later, and I'll show you how it applies in the less doing project management system. The first one is that you want to have some sort of arc of to do, doing, done. Now, that could be 20 phases for you or whatever business you're in. If you're looking at something like a real estate agent, they might have prospective property, first visit, second visit, offer made, close. You get the idea. Whatever it is, there's still that arc that there's stuff you have to do, there's stuff you're doing now, and there's stuff that you have accomplished and completed. So we want to have some form of to do, done. And it could just simply be to do, doing, done. Usually for a lot of the personal uses of these boards or these project management tools, it would be to do, doing, done. The second thing is that it needs to be dynamic. It has to be a system that can move. That's why paper and pen doesn't really work very well, because even if you're crossing things out, they're still there nagging at you. Now, you don't have to go high tech for this. You can do this with Post-it notes and a whiteboard, and you draw your faces and you move the cards around. But whatever you do, it has to have an element of dynamic nature to it so that it's not static. The third thing is that it needs to have one owner for each task. Now, this is an interesting one for a lot of people, because you see a lot of project management systems and there's 5 people responsible for every different task. That's a no-no. If no one person owns it, then no one owns it. You need to know who's responsible for when things don't go well, and they need to know as well. So one owner for every task. Fourth, it's got to have a due date. Now, the due date may or may not be when it's actually going to be completed, but it should be when you expect there to be some sort of significant progress. Because again, we need to have some way that if things don't go to plan, there's a system for dealing with that, and people know who to talk to and figure out what happened. And lastly, we want a system where work can happen in the system. So when you're using a tool like Trello, for example, you can communicate in that tool. And that's what we want. We don't want you talking about a project or a to-do in a communication platform. We want you talking about it in the project management platform where the work happens. You can share different graphic ideas on an upcoming flyer design. You can discuss pricing for a new initiative that you're going to do. All of that information can be shared in the tool itself. So you keep it where the work happens.